Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, January 16th, 2023. And I'm excited. I slept a little bit, but I woke up with just a rejuvenated mind and a rejuvenated spirit. And just wanted to get on here and talk to you guys for a little bit. And I had a couple topics in mind that I wanted to talk about, but something shifted in the atmosphere for me this morning. So we have time, we have some days to go through this year as we go through this motivational talk and walk. So this morning, I want to just talk about a couple things. First and foremost, today is MLK Day, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in the United States, a day that we remember his diligence with civil rights and his diligence with nonviolence. We remember his service. It's a day of service, of giving back to the community, giving back to people, helping underserved populations of people, just being good doers. You know, sometimes, excuse me, I'm in my car. So sometimes, we become so consumed with our personal needs. I need me. Guilty as charged. Because we've given so much, we're exhausted. We've depleted our resources. We have extended ourselves to a point where we have to become selfish, right? To safeguard ourselves, to create boundaries for ourselves. So today is a day for us to kind of step outside of that and say, yes, I know, I recognize that I need to be intentional about myself, and I need to be a little bit selfish about my boundaries and focus on me. But every once in a while, we have to be diligent about being doers of good works, of a good service. And today is a day that I like to give back. And it doesn't have to be the way that you give back. It could be cooking for someone. It could be cleaning a house. It could be volunteering. It could be teaching children how to read and write, or just picking up the phone and calling somebody saying, hey, can I bless you in secret? We need to get past this public act of appreciation and act of kindness. No, do it in secret. Your right hand should not know what your left hand is doing. When you do something for someone, it should be done in secret, and it shouldn't be discussed unless that person chooses to discuss what you did for them. So I just wanted to put a pin right there before I get started. I want to be mindful of time. Got through week one, officially got through week one. Learned some things, working on some things, but I want this to be organic. I want it to be authentic. I don't want it to be scripted or edited to the point where it has to be pretty, because that's not what my life is. My life is not pretty perfect. As beautiful as I think I am now, as beautiful as I'm trying to be on the inside out, I'm imperfect. I make mistakes daily. I make mistakes all the time. My thoughts, I make mistakes. My actions, sometimes I make mistakes, but I'm intentional about trying to be cognizant of my approach in my interactions with people. So let's get out there today. Take a moment. It could be 10 minutes. You know, go take your neighbor's trash out. Go ask somebody if they need something. Just do an act of service. Just one little act, one little act of service. We talked about the mustard seed and how small it is and what we needed to do to plant it. Take a mustard seed of just service and just plant it in somebody else's garden. I could preach. Take your seed and plant it in somebody else's garden and see what kind of fruit it produces, right? So this morning, I was supposed to talk about a 3-strand cord. I was going to talk about the power of pulling resources together, and then just put a biblical kind of like tone on it to talk about the power of a 3-strand cord not being easily broken. But I'm going to save that for another day. And I want to talk about it starts at home. Oftentimes when we become passion builders or passion pushers, or we start focusing and living in our true destiny and our true calling, we are so excited and we're just like just glowing and just the word that I'm thinking of, gleaning. We're gleaning. We're at the threshing floor. We're just ready to go. We're just ready to harvest. We're just ready to pull and get out and pull and get out. That sometimes we overlook the most important thing. The most important thing is home. Home is wherever your heart is. Home is not always where you sleep, where your clothes are, where your property is. Home is where your heart is. Home is where you love the most. Home is where you store your valuables. And I'm not talking about materialistic things in this moment. Home is where you store the love, the trust, the vulnerability, people, your children, your spouse, your parents. That's home. So home is not a specific place, is what I'm trying to get at. Home is what is your circle of people that are the most important to you. If you were told you have 5 minutes to talk to people, and that would be your last conversation before you died, you have a list of people you're going to call immediately. I know for one, it's going to be my kids. Number two, it's going to be my parents. Number three, it's going to be my siblings. And then after that, it's going to be loved ones, right? Those are the people of my home, my home, my family, my net, my system, my support system. And whether we want to believe it or not, whether we want to own it or not, sometimes we neglect home. We get so caught up in working and paying bills and being friends to people we shouldn't be friends with, being lovers to people we shouldn't be lovers with. We forget about home. We forget about why we're in existence. We forget about, our parents. There's no book on how to be a parent. Some of the things that I was angry with my parents about, I had to forgive them when I became a parent to say, oh, woof, this is harder than I knew. Like, I'm trying to deal with my healing and my traumas and my trauma bonds and my disappointment and my rejection. And I got these individuals looking up to me, and they have needs too. They need to talk to me. They need me to feed them. They need me to clothe them. They need to make sure that I can pay these bills, that they have shelter, they have transportation, they have education. And I'm still struggling with my stuff. How do I do this? I cry a lot. And all my tears aren't tears of sadness. Sometimes I cry for joy. I'm just a water box. I'm a water box. I'm angry, I'm going to cry. I'm hurt, I'm going to cry. I'm praising, I'm going to cry. That's my release. Water is my release. There's something about water with me. When I'm going in a season of blessing, I spill a lot of water. I like my hands in water. I bathe a lot. It's something about water with me that gives me life. Right? So I'm learning at 46 that my parents didn't have a manual on how to raise D. And D is not an easy child to raise. Ask them. Call Onaje and call Jeannie. They're going to say, that girl got a mind of her own. That girl is rebellious. That girl is loving. She's caring. She's creative. But I have my flaws. So I can only imagine what it was like for them to raise a child like me, because I'm cunning naturally. That's how God made me. He made me so cunning because he has things for me to do that's going to require somebody who can get in and get out real quick. Somebody who can manipulate a situation in order to protect someone who's in danger. That's me. I'm cunning. My mind thinks 20 steps ahead of most people. I'm cunning. So raising a cunning child is hard. And then when you get another cunning child, all three of my kids are cunning. All three of them, they got their ways. And I said, Lord, is this what my parents went through? They're struggling from whatever their stuff was, their hurt was, their bonds were. They're struggling from things in their past, and then they're trying to parent me? Jeannie Sandiford, Onaje Benjamin, I thank you all. I thank you all, because I'm not easy. I thank you. It starts at home. My parents always made sure I had a place to stay. I was never homeless. I was never molested. I was never abused. I had some inappropriateness that I didn't know was inappropriateness at the time, because that was the normal. I'm dealing with that. I experienced some things in my household that I understand now were struggles and were generational things that our families dealt with. And at the time, it was like the normal. I was talking to my sister-in-law, my Guyanese sister-in-law, and she said, do you know in Guyana, a woman didn't feel loved unless she was being beaten by a man? Because we were so messed up back then, we thought that's what love was. And that stems from slavery. That stems from massa beating us and whipping us and raping us and taking our men and using them as cattle to reproduce, that we picked up some trauma bonds that are so deep rooted that we exhibit symptoms of things that we didn't even know existed. We don't even know why. A man can't explain to you why he hit a woman. A woman can't explain to you why she beats up a man. It's not always a man beating a woman. Women beat on men too. That's real talk. Abuse is abuse regardless. A person who is molested, if they don't get help, they start molesting. They act out things that they've experienced. It starts at home. So I'm at time. I want to wrap this up, but I don't want to rush through a point that's very, very important. Charity and acts of service start at home. So on today, on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, as we do acts of service and acts of kindness, start at home. Look at your children and say, I love you. I don't do it enough. My acts of love are acts of service. I'm an action person. I'm a verb. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get her done. I'm going to get her done. That's me. But they need to hear, Mommy loves you. I love you. To my parents, Mom, I love you. Dad, I love you. To my step-parents, Shirley, I love you. Nita, I love you. Donna, I love you. My dad gave me a lot of stepmoms. I'm sorry, but he did, you know? I love you. I love you. I love you for what you contributed in my life. I love you for the sacrifices that you made that I couldn't understand. I love you for your 23 chromosomes that each one of you gave me that made me who I am. I love you for that. I love you for making me tough as nails. I love you for that. I love you for making me creative. I love you for accepting me for who I am. Not always understanding me because I'm a complex being, but I love you for that. So before I reach out and go do what I'm going to do as my act of service for the day, I have to level set and start at home. I love my family. I love my brother. I love my sister. I love my step siblings. I love you. I love you because if it had not been for my journey, I couldn't reach my destination, and I'm heading towards that. So I want to encourage all of you this morning as you start your day. If you have to work, thank God I'm off. I had a really restful Paramount weekend. Travania Quarles and I got on TikTok yesterday evening, and it was remarkable. You know, she shared some stories with the platform about some of her trauma bonds, and I chimed in on things that I could share. And then I met for the first time some remarkable women who shared their trauma bonds and were very open and transparent about their healing process. It starts at home. And what we recognized yesterday was therapy is therapy. We recognize that we need properly clinical trained clinicians who can help us walk through some of the diagnoses that we name differently. I was talking about, how we say, y'all, they crazy, they wilding out, they flipping out. That's psychosis. It's psychosis. It's dual personality. It's bipolar disorder. There's names to it, but in our communities we don't call it what it is because there's such a negative undertone with mental health. You know, we talked about that. We talked about how I think Travania shared a story with us how a family member was dying, and because the person's spouse was so religious, instead of calling the ambulance right away, they was trying to heal her and pray over her. And it just goes back into the whole point about you need to go to the person that can change your situation. A complaint is not valid until you take it to someone who can change your situation. If I am not a cardiologist, I can't tell you about your heart. If I'm not a podiatrist, I can't tell you about your feet. I can tell you about things I may think, but I'm not clinically or trained in order to give you guidance on that. So the same thing with our health. We can talk to each other about it. It's very therapeutic, but you need to go to someone that you can relate to. We talked about that too. You got to find a clinician who can relate to your situation, who has experience in that area, because sometimes you leave therapy sessions and you feel like you gave your therapist therapy. That's truth. That could preach. I've done it. She's asking me more questions and she's answering, and I'm leaving feeling like I gave her pearls and she's charging me. You got to find a therapist that you identify with that can speak into your situation to help you grow and develop. But all of that starts at home. Have you talked to your children? Have you asked them about their day and listened? Guilty as charged. Sometimes I'm so consumed in my mind, I'm present, but I'm absent. Have you talked to your spouse to say, hey, baby, how you doing? How was your day? I miss you. Have you called your parents to say, do you need anything? You sacrificed all those years for me. Can I give something back? Have you called a loved one, an auntie, a grandmom, a sister friend, a cousin, a boyfriend, and say, hey, you need anything? I'm just thinking about you. It starts at home. Whatever your home is, not the building, the people. We focus so much on the church, the church, the church, the church. Church is great, but church is not a building. It's the people. So if church is not a building, it's the people. What about home? Home is not a house. It's the people. Start at home. It starts at home. It starts at home. Have a great day, guys. Again, please join us on Sundays at 6. We're going to play around with the times because it was 2 hours. And even at 2 hours being on that TikTok live, there were still so many people who wanted to join and cover and just talk about their childhood traumas. The place is called A Safe Place of Grace. A Safe Place with Grace. And Travanya, the lioness, that's her platform, and I'm just supporting and riding with her and just doing what we do. You know, we tag teaming, ducking and jiving, coming together, understanding each other in love, and speaking life into some things and speaking death into some things. Some things we got to kill off, y'all. But anyway, have a great day. It's early. I'm out and about. I'm in a different state. I'm loving it. I'm loving the vibe. I got stuff to do. So let me be mindful of my environment because I see things moving around me. And I'm just going to say have a blessed day. Be encouraged. If I don't say this enough, I love you. The Christ in me loves you. The God in me loves you because you are lovable and you are worthy. And while I have to start at home, I'm not going to stay at home. I want to be so sticky. I want to be so loving that the flies want to ask me, how come you're no longer attracted to feces? God. Oh, God. I just want to leave you with a pearl and just say, God is able. Let he who has an ear, let them hear, thus says the Lord. My God is able and awesome. And we're in a prophetic season right now, and I'm excited. And God is going to do some amazing things, but it starts at home. On this solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. What is your home built on? Be blessed, don't be stressed. Have a good day. Take care.